Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Artemis Fowl, yet another Disney Plus original film you can no longer watch on Disney Plus. By the time you actually see this, yeah, you can't watch it. Nope, sorry. Not my fault. I mean, I don't know why I'm apologizing to you. This is a 2020 film. It's an hour and 41 minutes long, and it until recently, as I've been explaining over the last few days, I wasn't normally these things are that I do here, the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. It's a randomly selected thing. It's something that I have on a spreadsheet, and the number is randomly picked, and I watch whatever that is. Well, in this case, when I found out that a number of things, more than 40 different things, documentaries, series, movies, specials, and all sorts of other things were being removed from Disney Plus, I said, well, there's some stuff I really wanted to watch, and I want to kind of say that I've watched as much as I can on Disney Plus, because honestly, Disney Plus does remove stuff from time to time throughout the last more than 3 years at random because of contractual obligations and deals and all these kind of things, and also because seasonal sometimes. Right now I don't think you can watch any of the Home Alone films. They were removed, but they were around at Christmas, and they'll probably be back around Christmas. I don't know. I think they're 20th Century Fox properties anyway, not necessarily Disney. But they had the rights to play them if they want. So where they end up next Christmas, I have no idea. Same thing with the X-Men films. The first two you can't see. We watched X2 a few months ago, and it was here. But if I wanted to watch it now, if the first X-Men randomly got picked, I couldn't watch it because of some sort of deal they had with Stars or something. You can go to Stars right now and watch those first two X-Men films, but Last Stand and a bunch of other stuff past that you can see still here on Disney Plus. So, as it goes, I'm just making these just so in the last few hours before they're taken away. As far as I know, they're going to be taken away at midnight on May 26th, and it's now May 25th when I film this. Yes, well before you're going to see this. So, yeah, sorry you can't watch Artemis Fowl, but apparently maybe part of the reason why it went away is that not many people were. I don't know. It premiered on Disney Plus during the pandemic, so part of that its existence and the way it is, it may not. It probably just appeared on here. To little fanfare. I realize these are based on books by Eowyn Colfer. That's based on the novel by. Another part of the YA, young adult fiction deluge that the world got, especially after Harry Potter and Hunger Games and things like that, really started taking over, being opted for movies and made piles of money. So every studio just started buying up YA properties and making them into series and movies and whatever else they could to try to recoup their investment. And not everybody did. But in this case, the reason why this, you may not have watched this, the reason why this is going away is maybe because the rights to it changed a little bit, or maybe the money. Usually money is the basis of most decisions when it comes to putting things on or taking things off of a streaming service. So I am not one to speculate or judge on that. I know enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be an expert. So Artemis Fowl. This is, like I said, it's a YA adapted story that mixes fantasy with sci-fi technology, and a young man at the center of this, aptly named Artemis Fowl, named after his father, Artemis Fowl Sr. Artemis right here, he is Ferdia Shaw. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else, but so he's kind of a new face to me. But the most familiar face you'll recognize this early on in the film is Josh Gad. And he's a rather peculiar looking guy, and he has a really gravelly kind of voice, which funnily enough, he comments on at a certain point in the film. So he's very much Josh Gad in this. You know him as Olaf from Frozen and a bunch of other things. The Book of Mormon. You ever saw the original cast of that? That's him. But he plays Mulch, and he's kind of the narrator of this film. He is sort of telling it. He's suddenly been arrested by authorities after a major event happened on the property of the Fowl residence. And we don't really know who the Fowl family is or who Artemis Fowl is when we watch this, if you haven't read the books. And there's a lot of chaos, reporters, everything else going on, and they've captured this really kind of big, burly-looking dude with a beard and scraggly hair, and that's Mulch. And what we get is his confession while in MI6 prison as to what's going on. And what he tells in his story sounds incredibly unbelievable to the people of MI6. There's fairies, there's dwarves and goblins and trolls and whatever else. Just all the things you know from folklore and Irish myth, especially. This is very Irish-based, Ireland-based. Well, you know, yeah, it's a lot. But the way they implement these characters, it's not just your normal, hey, we're magic, oh, look at us. And they fly around in their fairy wings, and then they do spells and stuff. That's not what this is necessarily. There is an element of magic, but of course, like as we've learned with other things, magic is often what is usually science that we don't understand yet. I think they said that in Thor. So, strangely enough, by the way, this is also directed by Kenneth Branagh, so as the first Thor was. So yeah, he is ample history when it comes to mixing fantasy and sci-fi together. Kenneth Branagh, you know him. He's done a ton of Shakespeare stuff, but he was also Lockhart in Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter films. But you know, depending on how old you are, you know him from various different things. But he is the director of this film. So we get to meet Artemis Fowl here, and he is raised by his dad, played by Colin Farrell, raised by his dad to learn all about these mythological creatures and the history of all these things. And you don't necessarily think, well, when a father tells a child stories of myth and legend and everything else, you don't expect it ever to be practical. You don't expect it to be something that, you know, it's just a fun story to expand their imagination and be fun. It's something to be fun. In this, it's a preparation for war, because in a very real sense, these creatures exist, these beings exist, and we discover that they have abilities that we barely understand or can prepare ourselves for, if they should ever decide to make themselves known in our world. Well, when the elder Artemis Fowl is taken away, kidnapped by a mysterious being, which we do not ever fully see in this. This is setting up a sequel, by the way. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is setting up a sequel, so this feels very incomplete. This is the kind of movie that should have been a Disney Plus original series. And I know that's my personal preference, because you get to go deeper on all the characters, you get to go deeper on the story, and yeah, it can stretch it out over 6 to 8 episodes, so it feels like 8 hours. It feels like, you know, a trilogy of stories stretched out over 6 to 8 hours, as compared to, we got an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes tops, with credits, to tell a story. And I have a feeling that the original source material, the books, the novels that these were based on, went a whole lot deeper with all these characters, because they kind of get mashed together real fast. For me, I think I looked away for a little bit, and suddenly people who were all enemies were friends, and they were working together to fight another evil, and then some other evil people were working for other people. Like, characters just sort of popped up out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, that guy's a bad guy now, but he was working with what we thought were the bad guys, but are actually the good guys. So there's, yeah, you got to pay attention to this. It's not like it's really complicated. It's just that it throws a lot at you. And I think this is probably a really rich, deep world because of the aesthetics that are involved with it. Because these are like fairies, elves, leprechauns, maybe, that they all sort of maybe part of the same genus. I'm not sure. What do we know as humans? You know, we don't, unless you're really into Irish lore and mythology, maybe they're all related. We all see them as separate beings, but, you know, I don't know. But they all have this high-level technology. Like metal guns that transform into swords and blast laser beam kind of things, and shields and what look like spaceships, and they got all sorts of crazy stuff. And they're all run by Dame Judi Dench. Yeah. If she had not made Cats, if she had not appeared in Cats, that musical that came out, this would have probably been one of her most ridiculous appearances in a film ever. She's there's one scene that made me laugh out loud, which I don't know if it was meant to, but no, I think it was. I think this movie has a sense of humor about itself, especially about the appearance of these characters, and the actors themselves. I think I have an appreciation for the source. They realize what they're doing. They're getting paid. They're not doing this for free. But I think Dame Judi Dench, she has this ability to have a sense of humor about what she's doing and not take herself too seriously. There's one moment when she's leading the fairy army upon Artemis the Fowl Manor, and they make landfall, and the door opens up, and she is in this resplendent, almost glowing, in a sense, just vibrant looking green armor and like dressage, not dressage, but I mean, whatever it is, just whatever she looks at, you're never expecting Judi Dench to look like this ever. Okay, and she's just dressed in this, and the very first thing she says in this Irish lilt is "top of the morning to you." Just wow. I mean, if there's anything else, there's a lot of little bits in this movie. I can't say that it's a great movie, but there's enough little bits in this movie that make it go, oh, I kind of want more of that. I really wish they had the time and the breadth to really do this bigger, do this with time, but it bounces all over the place. This kid becomes way too cool, way too fast. He just puts on the suit. It feels like it's a Men in Black moment, that he just, because his dad taught him so much, you understand that he knows things that you don't know. Usually as an audience, we tend to know what's going on before some of the characters do. So we get certain feelings of trepidation or drama that, you know, in context. We get a context that the characters very often do not. In this, the kid is ahead of us, and we're just playing catch up, and that's sometimes can be disorienting or a letdown, because we're just like, okay, what now? What now? He ends up capturing an officer of the fairies, played by Lyra McDonnell. She plays Holly Short. At one point, I have to confess that again, I don't know if I just sort of faded out, but I thought he and she were the same character at one point, if not for the ears. Like, did he change his outfit into some sort of green tech armor? And I'm like, no, wait, because they're both, you know, small white kids, so, and with shortish hair, but then once you take the helmet off and see the ears, and then they start talking to each other. Obviously, they're different characters. So, yeah, he has a butler, but you do not call him Butler. He is Where's his name? Why do I not see him early in the calls in the list of characters here? That's perturbing. Oh, there he is. Nonzo and Azone and Anozi. He plays Domaval Butler. His last name is Butler, but you don't call him Butler. It's a thing. It's one of those quirky character things that writers make up to be cool. So, yeah, there's lots of different things going on, different levels of battle. A lot of it takes place in a single location above or around the Artemis Fowl mansion. And there's abilities to stop time in a bubble, either externally or internally, and then it allows a whole lot of stuff to happen within a period of time while the rest of the world moves on. It might seem like a second to the world, but it happens over hours inside the bubble. Even that's not even explained too well, but when the elves create this, and if it gets, say, corrupted or damaged, it creates a bit more of a problem where everything kind of gets messed with. So that adds another level of drama when that suddenly gets messed with. So it's not a surprising thing. So yeah, I wish I could fully say that yeah, this totally makes sense. This is the way this should be, and this is yeah. I think it might require multiple views to fully get into, and I imagine the books usually are better than any movie that comes out. It's just the way it is, because it allows you that ability to imagine more than consume, which is what Disney Plus exists for us to do, to consume it, as I have for many hundreds of episodes here. But unfortunately, you can't watch this a second time on Disney Plus unless you tell them otherwise. If you need to see this on Disney Plus, you tell Disney. They have done it with other things. As I've said in previous episodes, I know I sound repetitive. If you've seen each of these episodes, I'm sorry. But yeah, you can't see this on Disney Plus for now. Maybe it could come back someday. Maybe things could change. I have no idea. But by the time they ever decide to make a sequel for this kid's going to be way too grown up. And they're going to probably have to reboot it from the start. I don't know. So I'd say, yeah, if you really want to watch it, search out a legal digital download, Voodoo, whatever those things that allow you to download the kind of things. But this is a Disney thing, so Disney should be making it available to you. Maybe they have it on disc somewhere. You could buy it online in a Disney shop or, Amazon. I have no idea. Either way, if they're taking away this stuff after they've made it, seems kind of a waste. But anyway, enough of that. Let's tell you what the last thing I'm going to watch, as before I only have time to watch. Oh yeah, I have very little time left before these are all taken away, unless they somehow last through the 26th, like the end of the 26th. I have no idea, but if they're all taken away at midnight tonight, well, I'm sorry. It's too late for me to do anything about it for you. So anyway, the next thing we're going to watch is the remake, the 2022 remake of Cheaper by the Dozen, starring Gabrielle Union and Zach Braff, from Scrubs, and her from that Cheer movie. At least that's what I remember her from that Cheer movie. Why can't I say what the name of that movie is? Kirsten Dunst is in it too. Anyway. There's a dozen people in that movie. It's Cheaper by the Dozen, where it's basically the series that Steve Martin had done, but the 2022 version that came out exclusively on Disney Plus and is now gone. By the time you watch my episode tomorrow, it's now no longer watchable. So good for everybody. But hey, if it ever comes back, well, you have me as a resource to tell you whether you wasted your time or not waiting for it to come back. So Cheaper by the Dozen, the 2022 remake, is next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.